Well, I think it's because, you know what they say, John, it's a small world.
After all.
After all, like that creepy Disney ride,
Oh, yeah, well.
you know, that you're obligated to take the kids on in Disney. Oh, that song sticks with you.
I loved Disney when I was a young man, and
Okay.
I loved it when we took our small kids. But when I think of all of the mantras, remember the General Electric Circle of Life? Now is the time. Now is the time. Oh, you never went on it?
No.
This is the best time of your life.
Well, at least that's
And
a positive message.
Well, it is, but you know, now knowing what I know about Disney, it was probably
Yeah.
subliminal seduction saying, you know, do something nefarious.
Yeah. Now,
Get close with your local pastor.
yeah. Now, my interesting, I don't know if I should tell this story. Okay, I'll tell it. So, married with 2 kids, and I'm going to Disney, right? And my father-in-law approaches me, and he says, listen, if you take her, and he nods to my mother-in-law, on the trip with you, now I didn't get away much, he goes, I'll pay for half your trip. Because you know how expensive Disney is, right?
Of course it is.
With all due respect, may she and he rest in peace, my ex-in-laws.
Yeah.
You did not know what a handful my mother-in-law was. So
didn't.
I wouldn't make a commitment. Yeah, I wouldn't make a commitment. I go, listen, I have to sleep on this. Because it's a tremendous amount of money, but dealing with her, you know, on a traveling basis was a tremendous commitment. So I actually didn't sleep all night. I was just laying in bed going like this. Yes, no, what could happen? What could go
I
wrong?
mean, before you went.
Before I went. So I said, you know what? Listen, how many people really offer you to pay for half your trip? You know? So I said, I called him up. I said, hey, Pop. I said, I'll do the deal. And he just started giggling and laughing, chuckling. He goes, like he knew I would.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And it did turn out to be the trip from hell.
I thought you were going to say, hey, Phil, when you go, you're taking her with you, but she ain't coming back.
She ain't coming back. No. And so that was funny talking about that was my Disney. And the stories I could tell you off of that trip, but I will not, and I won't go there. Now, the reason we were talking about It's a Small World, first of all, if you're from Jersey, and maybe, I don't know if it's Italians, John, but if you're from Jersey and you're Italian, you're connected with people we don't even know, right?
Yeah.
So last night, I had to go to a wake for a very dear friend who I hadn't seen in years, but it's somebody I grew up next to, you know, as a kid. And, you
Did
know,
he live near you or right next door?
right next door. And he was a great guy. And the thing about me and this friend, which I told you the story, was we had the exact same birthday,
Yeah.
all right?
Right.
The exact same year,
Right.
day and year. We lived right next to each other on the same street. Both our mothers were from Italy, okay? And they were the same
town in Italy.
and they were exactly alike. So you'd think that we'd have a lot in common, right? That we could build a friendship. We had nothing in common. He was a great guy.
Yeah, right.
Everybody liked him.
I had nothing in common with my brother.
Yeah, exactly. But he was a great guy. And the funny part is, you had a connection to him.
Right. To kind of just keep the story going, this is how you just never know, right? My cousin, who is, I guess, my second cousin, she's my father's first cousin's daughter. Now, we grew up together, but they didn't live in the same town. We didn't see them but for like affairs, that kind of thing.
Are you talking about Tony?
Yeah.
Tony, and I met your cousin Tony for the first time.
Yeah.
Tony, if you're watching this episode, it was a pleasure meeting you. What an outstanding young lady she is. Looking forward to the.
You got the silent Scooby-Doo laugh out of me on that one.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, I'm looking forward to meeting her again, so we can go out for a
Yeah.
nice dinner, the
So
3-4
she's the
hours.
one who I think sent me a text. She goes, Johnny. She goes, She goes, you knew so-and-so. And she sent me the obituary listing. And I went, oh, my God. Geez, how terrible. Make a long story short, she's going to fly in from out of state. I said I was going. all of a sudden, I knew you would probably be going because
Yeah.
he was your dear friend and your next door neighbor. The
Sure.
interesting thing is when Phil left that town to come to the town I grew up in, he was my next door neighbor.
Neighbor to neighbor,
He's
unbelievable.
got the same birthday as, unfortunately, this great guy that was
Yeah.
an unbelievable artist, well-known,
Oh.
renowned, who is deceased. Phil, next door neighbor, best friend, same exact birthday. Then he moves and he's my best friend in high school,
Oh, yeah.
right next door to me. And then it turns out when I go to the wake, I find out I'm related to him. I kind of suspected from the old stories, but the
Yeah.
old timers are all gone now. So I kind of suspected it, but last night confirmed it that I'm related to the deceased.
Wow.
But my cousin Tony Ann, who was there, is also related, just a bit closer. And then when I got home, the three of us went out to a diner afterwards, and we didn't know where the diner was. It was 2 driveways away. So I get home, and a cousin of mine that I had referenced earlier in the evening at dinner, that's from my mother's side of the family, she says to me, "Hey, cuz," she goes, "Do you know a guy, blah, blah, blah?" And I went, "What?" I says, "I was just at his wake." She goes, "Oh, well, so was her fiance." And I went, "Well, I didn't see him there." She goes, "Well, he got there after you, and he heard somebody mention your name. And he apparently went to grammar school with the deceased and Phil."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And I knew that person too.
Isn't that amazing?
So-
he's engaged to Riri, Nikki's younger sister.
There's no way.
Yeah, I see.
Wait, what do you mean engaged?
Engaged, like betrothed, like
Yeah, well,
finger?
he's my age.
so is she.
Shouldn't
So is
Should-
she. What,
John-
do you think she was 18?
shouldn't they know better at this point?
Boy, they're gonna watch.
I mean, I wish them the best of luck. Please, I know both of them. I haven't seen your cousin in a very long time.
Yeah.
Spectacular
Amazing,
young
amazing,
lady.
isn't it? It's, I mean,
But
what-
wow, no kidding.
Yeah, it just went on and on and on. And I got to say this.
You know what you know what? Let me interrupt, please.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. You know, before I forget, because I'm 100, what I know about her fiance who was there,
Mm-hmm.
a tremendous. I was in awe of him because he could play the drums in grammar school.
Professional drummer.
He is?
Yeah.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Like nobody's business.
I think he's with headliners at the Stone Pony and whatnot.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, we got to get
I think
together
he's
now.
played with Springsteen and all that. I think.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Isn't that something that he was amazing in 6th, 7th grade?
Wow. Wow. That
Wow.
was clearly his thing, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
See, I admire guys like that, John, who have a talent and a passion, and they they know what they like and they go for it. I'm still looking for something that I could do well. I mean, at some point, something's going to hit me, right? I cut you off, though. Go ahead. Tell
You
you.
didn't cut me off.
Yeah. fine. I kind of did.
Okay.
Did you forget?
I cut everybody off, and I'm sorry. You know what it is? I don't do it maliciously. 2 things. I know that at this advanced stage in life,
I'll salute.
like an old larva, I'll forget.
Yeah.
And I have excitement about what I want to deliver.
Yeah.
So it's never, ever maliciously.
Okay.
I've been around a bunch of people who used to cut people off maliciously. I used to work with a few of those.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to
See, I knew it. I'm sorry.
It's not a big deal. It was just
Because I knew I was going to forget. This is what happens when you have 2 guys in
You
their
know what it is?
60s.
It's like if we had a 1,000-piece puzzle on this table right now.
Yeah.
You have a piece in your hand, you see it's going to go over there, but it's not your turn, and then you kind of forget where it goes.
Yeah.
But it'll come back. It'll eventually the puzzle piece will get put into the puzzle.
If we had 1,000 pieces.
I've got it.
all
I've
right.
got it. I was going to say to the viewing audience,
Okay.
there are times, many times in my life, when I don't want to do something. I don't want to do something. I took guitar lessons for decades and decades. Jumped in and out, in and out, in and out. Nothing more than a home hack. I just never committed myself. But when I really didn't want to go to lessons, and I was bitching and pissing about it, I would show up, and all of a sudden, the song that was eluding me for months, Clapton's Cigna, all of a sudden, boom, ba, boom, boom, boom. It's all there from the beginning to the end. I never miss a beat, never miss a note, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I showed up today. Or when I was playing men's league hockey and the games would start at
Oh.
midnight on a Tuesday, and and I was on call for Pete's surgery, it was either, well, you drop hockey forever, or you just try to make it happen.
Yeah.
So there's nights when I didn't want to go, and I'm on the couch taking a nap because I'm dragging my ass and I'm exhausted, and my daughter would say, "Dad, why do you play if you don't go?" Okay, so my 8-year-old just called me out. Okay, all right, I go. We win, and I score 4 goals.
YKK Zippers. The original team.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that because for 30 years I had to be at work. I used to get up for work no later than 3 o'clock a.m. So I'd be on the ice when I played adult league or attempted to play adult league.
Right.
Ask me how many goals I scored. That would be 0. I knocked a few people out, though, I'll tell you that. So I would be on the ice waiting for a face-off, and in the corner of one rink, the clock would be right there, and it'd say like 1:15. I'd be like, how the hell am I going to do this?
So you played before you went to work.
Yeah. Do you remember they built that quad in Hackensack?
Oh, yeah.
The 4-ring?
Or no.
Ice House?
Ice House.
Ice House. All right, in Hackensack. While they were building that, I was playing adult hockey, and I was calling, emailing, writing letters, and visiting the general manager of the place, asking him before it was even up, please, you have to make adult hockey at some decent time. You'll have so many teams.
Yeah.
Imagine how many fathers there are, and mothers, if there's a few moms that play,
right.
that just can't play because of the craziness of hockey.
You're right. And I always had the same
And he
thoughts.
blew me off.
Well, that's because they have contracts with leagues,
Yeah.
and they've got the school kids that can't be on the ice at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
So screw you, old man.
Old timer, yeah.
Yeah.
But, did your kids come watch you play? I mean, if you had an early game?
A couple times, and you know what? I made the mistake. The only time my father and mother and my 3 kids and my ex came, well, she was my wife at the time, they came to see me play. We were like, almost neck and neck for first place in the league. And don't ask me what I thought I was doing, but I was in my mid-40s, and I cut 4 large trees down that day in my yard by hand with a bow saw, an axe, and a 5,000-pound come-along.
Oh, yeah.
And I figured, this is going to loosen me up. Time for game time?
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I couldn't move. And at the end of the game, on the way home in the car, my son goes, Dad, he goes, you would have won if you guys just, he goes, you just got to do everything faster.
People have been saying that to me my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Wow, that's funny. I took it, I didn't take high school sports serious, all right, because I was just an average athlete. But I took adult hockey, and I played football, flag football, adult league for a couple of years. But my whole day was planned around that night game. Yeah. Work, whether I worked out or not, where I slept. I used to go to the track at 285 pounds, and I used to do sprints just to get ready for the game, because when it meant nothing in real life, that's when I started turning it up. That's when I, talk about a late bloomer.
You didn't expunge it from your system. When I was a kid, I think I was like 10, and I don't know how old my dad was. Well, my dad was bigger and stronger than everybody else in the damn town. And I'd say to him, hey, Dad, how come you don't play on the men's softball team? And he'd say, look, you got to understand something. He goes, when you play for Georgia University and you got a full scholarship, and the Giants are looking to draft you, he says, the local men's softball league, slow pitch on a Sunday,
doesn't cut it.
What's the point? He says, do you understand? And I went, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But I thought like he was the secret weapon. He would clobber everybody.
Yeah.
Home runs left and right.
He probably would have.
Well, I mean, look.
Yeah, with one hand.
Talk about a gifted son of a gun. And his brother, apparently, used to tell me, because my brother was more capable than him.
Wow.
My father's brother, Uncle Pat, who was 6'5", apparently, they were both stable boys in Newark. They would take care of the horses in the stables.
Wow.
And my uncle was a trick horse rider. he would do those things you'd see on the old black and white westerns where they would ride and they would like jump off and hit the ground with their feet and pop and spin and end up on the other side.
Are you serious?
Yeah, my
At
uncle-
6'5".
Yeah, my
What?
uncle. Yeah, they were gifted athletes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's when you realize, John, I mean, so many, being a realist, and we've had this discussion about youth sports before. I kind of, when my son played hockey, he played all sports, but when he played hockey, I mean, you do live vicariously to an extent.
Yeah.
I told my son, you're never out on that ice alone. I'm always right next to you. Because you know what? When he would like go to hit somebody, if you were standing next to me, I'd be like this. You just feel it.
Yeah.
But you have to be a realist that,
Yeah.
hey, what's that? Where's Bones today?
Where's
Well,
Bones?
I mean,
Just noticed that his foot.
I'm looking, I'm talking to you, and I'm looking on the screen, and I see this
Well,
big
you didn't
leg.
do a countdown, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You want to do a countdown, then we'll talk about Bones?
Well, okay. We've been neglecting our countdown.
Go ahead. Do
you
the
know?
count. Well, we just went right into it.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome to another episode of The Jersey Alchemist, and I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Galucci.
And I'm Philip D'Angelo.
And there is a conspicuous absence of Springfield Bones. He was celebrity chef Springfield Bones, but like we said last week,
Yeah.
we're right in the middle of Shark Week.
Oh.
Well, where do you think he is? He's down the shore.
Yeah.
He said to me at the end of last week, he says, look, don't expect me in the studio. It's Shark Week. Remember what I told you about Grandma Boniva getting attacked by a shark? So I think she got attacked in Belmar, and that's where he is. He's on the beach, Belmar, New Jersey, and
Hopping around, obviously.
well, I guess he is. He's took his crutches with him, but he said, hey, he goes, I don't trust you guys. He goes, I got to leave this here, keep my foot in the door.
Come on, that's funny. That's funny. I mean, and I'm sorry to just cut it off like this, but I mean, I was talking to you and I see on the screen, I'm like, wait a minute, I know Bones wasn't here. I wasn't sure why, but I'm like, that's his leg. How could the man travel without his leg?
Well, he wants to keep his foot in the door, but think of it this way.
Yeah.
Right? One less leg to get bit by a shark down on Belmar.
Wow.
Right.
I wonder does he float or does he sink?
I think he's just going to be hanging, knee deep, so to speak.
Knee deep. Oh boy, would you read? Watch an old Abbott and Costello movie last
One
night?
knee deep.
One knee deep. Wow, that's true. But John, it's funny how you take sports and your kids. I mean, and go full circle. I mean, how we started this conversation. It's a small world.
It's a small world.
Going to
right?
Disney.
We talk about, even with Bones, we talk about Shark Week.
Yeah.
We talk about the great Matawan shark attack that they know all over the world.
Yeah.
And whose grandmother was killed in a shark attack off the Jersey shore? Bones' grandmother, Boniva. I mean, who would have guessed?
No, John, I'm telling you, and like we discussed it last night at dinner with Tony Ann. I don't know if it's a Jersey thing. We're so densely populated, but there's a little piece of Jersey everywhere you go. And then you told that great story about Montreal, about meeting somebody in Montreal who.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I mean,
420 miles north.
how was that
In
possible?
Montreal, in a different town, when I lived there, when I was a fellow at McGill University for pediatric surgery, I needed to find a barber. And I walked into the Coiffure by Gino, in the lobby of Ruby Foo's hotel, because my parents were up visiting. And I stuck my head in the door. I says, let me see what this, Coiffure by Gino is all about. It's in my book. It's in the chapter, Montreal, the city of my heart. Montreal came at me every which way from Sunday. Is that how they say it? Everything about being in Montreal was like, not just like reminiscent or deja vu, but actually all these years later that I haven't been in Montreal, I'm convinced that I actually simultaneously live another life and another dimension in the city that is Montreal. So I walk and I say to the guy, hey, how are you? Are you Gino? Yes, I'm a Gino. Italian accent. Told him I needed a haircut. Gave me a suspicious look. All right, fine. I says, I'll take your card. I'll call you up. Okay. I got to know the guy, great barber. Turns out He was cousins with my first best friend from Bloomfield, New Jersey, when I was 4 years old. Same last name, just a different, instead of having an O at the last name, it's an A. He said the family, and he knew exactly what they did for a living. They owned a fish market. And he said the people that came over, some stayed in New York, others went on to Jersey, and some came up to Montreal.
Wow.
He and I both were flabbergasted. So it is a small world, but I think that speaks to a bigger world where we are connected spiritually and energetically, and it's above and beyond the physicality.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
If that means that, so you're saying like everybody in the human race is connected
totally.
100%.
Yeah, sure.
Because, all right, so it's not just our ethnicity, because we do connect. Everybody connects with their ethnicity, but it just seems, I thought maybe it was an Italian thing, all right? Italians, oh yeah, that's my cousin's third sister, and I mean.
Well, I have a notion about why that's true. For
Okay.
Italians that are either in Brooklyn or Trenton or anywhere else in Jersey, Newark, Lodi. Lodi is like the mob capital of New Jersey. People don't know that, but I just gave
If
it
there was such a thing as the mob.
If there was such a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course,
I will always use that
none
disclaimer.
of them were in my family at
Yeah,
all.
at all.
Right.
Yes.
But I found that the military is full of Irish, English, what the Italians would say the mitigans. That's kind of a slur for the Americans, the mitigans. They're much more likely to leave the Iowa cornfield and to enlist in the military. So you have lots of Polish and Irish and English and this one and that one in the military. You got your Italians too. There was a big Italian-American presence in World War II, and since then, absolutely. And my own grandfather was a Purple Heart recipient from World War I. My mother's father. I have that medal.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. But by and large, New Jersey reminds me of the town of Nutley. Dum. Here
Boy.
it comes.
Oh boy.
Nutley is chock full of Italian Americans, at least in my experience over the last 60 years. Before that, it wasn't true, and it was pretty much waspy. As a matter of fact, the great crack sharpshooter female Annie Oakley. Where was she born? In Texas? Bah! In California? No. New Mexico? Arizona? No. Minnesota?
No.
Where? Nutley, New Jersey. There's the Oakley house, right across from the police station.
Oh yeah.
And you know who knew that? I was engaging Frank Stallone on Instagram. And
Did he really?
Yeah, and I mentioned that, and he answered me. He goes, "Yeah, that's right." He goes, "Oh, yeah." He gave me the whole dissertation because he's a gun guy. And
Okay, so who else? There's a.
the point is, Italian Americans are so
Intertwined.
no, they're intertwined, but they're much more reluctant to leave the family enclave. Now, that being said, my dear cousins on my mother's side, there were 3 sons, and the oldest one went to Texas. Like, I don't want to, 50 years ago, 40 years ago,
Yeah.
and that's where he lives. But the other 2 I see every week now.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And I
Well,
haven't seen him in, I don't know,
Forever.
30 years at least.
so Nutley, supposedly Robert Blake was from Nutley.
Apparently.
Yeah, you heard that one.
Yeah.
I got one for you.
What?
Chief J. Strongbow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I forgot his real
His real name is like Nunzio Amvalati or something. I don't know.
J. Strongbow.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
The
1,
professional
2,
wrestler
3.
From the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Oh, that's our claim to fame. And there's one more. Who the hell
Where
is
was
it?
Lou Albano from? Was he a New Yorker?
I don't know. Albano.
funny.
That was
I just keep
hysterical.
seeing him with Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lou Albano
But,
was
you know,
funny.
people don't leave Nutley. Born
No.
and raised in Nutley, and
No.
I'll be damned, you're going to be coming back to Nutley. It's,
Well-
it's like an iron filing and a magnet.
Well, I have to ask you something because I have friends who, and I'll tell you what, I have a brother, but he's a little more adventurous. But I have a couple friends. They are in the town that I met him in New Jersey, and they will not leave that frickin' town.
Same town?
Oh yeah, one's in Bloomfield.
Oh, okay. Well, Bloomfield's like that.
One's in Lodi. Okay.
Lodi's a completely different.
But to see these guys, well, you have to go to them because they don't. I mean, there's some kind of invisible wall that surrounds the towns because they're like, oh no.
Right, yeah.
And John, as you get older, these habits, like now they're definitely not coming. Like they wouldn't come when they were 30s, 40s, 50s. Now in their 60s,
Ready to call them out?
No. That's why I didn't say their names. That's why I didn't say their names. But they're like, forget about it. They just won't move. Right. That's it. If you don't come to them, they ain't seeing you. Ain't seeing them. No, now, do you have any friends like that? Well, I even have a couple relatives like that too.
Yeah, no, I do. But I think a lot of people probably think that I'm that guy. Because I missed a lot of invites and a lot of family parties, but it wasn't because I didn't want to, drive past the city limits with my car. It was always
you had bills to pay.
Well,
you had to work.
Well, I had to work, and nobody really understood that what I did was balls to the wall. It was 24/7. Sometimes it was 20, 21 calls in a month, and I was constantly. I lived decades like a gunslinger with my finger inside the trigger guard. Wow. Finger on the trigger, because I never knew which way I was going to get hit. It was, here comes the newborn with gastroschisis, all of its intestines hanging out right from the womb. Here comes the kid who's septic and's got a bowel perforation and's got 6 operations before from another hospital. Nobody wants to own up to that kid, so they say, hey, Gallucci's down so-and-so. Oh, he'll do this. He's good. Boom. I got all the transfers and all of the elective cases, and it was nonstop hilarity for, I don't know, I was an attending for 25 years, but...
Talk about tunnel vision, John.
Yeah, so life, we talk about being in service to yourself or being in service to others. Oh, I've been in service to others my entire life, and to do that, to do it correctly, it takes its toll on you, and you forfeit your life. So I used to read stories about, Jesus in the New Testament saying, can you, let me go with you, my Lord, or take me with you, or I'll go with you to Herod's, guards are going to arrest you. I'll go, or I'll go with you and to the crucifixion. And he'd look and say, you really think you can drink my cup? Right? And so if you want to follow the leader, and for me the leader is Jesus Christ with the Christ consciousness, if you want to follow the leader and take up the cross, I'm not saying anybody has to do that. But me, I really tried. And of course, we're mere mortals, so, the old expression is true. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. I did my best, but I frequently failed. But when you take up the cross, you get what Jesus got. You get crucified. You get persecuted. You get ridiculed. You get scoffed at. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm far from it. How many F-bombs have I racked up on this podcast? Too many. But if you think you want to be in service to others and really be serious about it, you have to be willing to do it and to give your life.
It's funny, John, because I always, we've all been through tough times in our life. And, so if I meet somebody, I won't say a guy down on his luck, but if somebody's going through a tough time, that Humphrey Bogart. Yeah. Hey, listen, pal. But, I'll always be there for them. And a lot of times, I give my phone number out, and I'm like, hey, listen, you call me. I mean, this is not even close to the level you're talking about. But, I'm giving my number out, hey, listen, call me. But there comes a time when, like the same person is calling you like 17 times in 2 days where you're like, it's ridiculous.
Well, yeah.
So either you're going to kind of held me back from offering to help as many people as I used to on a personal basis because I'm like, this is just going to lead to some guy calling me at 11. Why aren't you picking up?
You get overwhelmed.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, you can only do so much. I mean, I've always said that about you, dealing with that pressure that you dealt with all those years. That's pretty impressive.
You want to hear something interesting?
I'd love to.
I was told by a certain Swami.
Who? Well, let's wait a minute now.
Go ahead.
Where is this certain Swami? I know there used to be somebody
What
around.
are we talking about? About being overwhelmed.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I like how you came to her defense real
Oh, but
quick.
It's the truth.
It is. I was just saying, I miss her. I don't see her
You know
anymore.
what? I thought something was hanging out of my mouth. It's a white blotch on the screen. I was like, oh my God.
Hey, that just shows the reality show.
Right.
But go ahead, John. You were
Yeah,
talking about.
So she told me a long time ago, your life is going to be in service to people who need a listening ear and a kind, helpful heart. She says, and that's going to be beyond the surgical care of preemies, babies, and children. And I was like, what? What do you mean? She goes, no, she goes, you're going to be intervening for and helping people with substance abuse, people who have like suicidal ideation. And I was like, what? Come on. So I says, all right, okay. She had never been wrong about anything else. So I buy the house that I presently live in, and I got a landline. This was, 12
A
years ago or
landline.
something.
Wow.
Well, I had a cell phone and a landline
Yeah.
because the cable company convinced me to get the triple play.
Oh,
It's just,
yeah. That was big back then.
I fell for it, right? So I would say 2 or 3 times a day, the phone would ring. All random numbers. And I would like jump up and grab the phone, expecting that it was like some relative because they were still all alive at that time. And they'd be like, yeah, hey, is this Harmony House? And
Wow.
I'd be like, what? What's Harmony House? Well, I haven't been around in a while, and I think I need to come back in. And I said, I'm sorry, sir. What is Harmony House? Because I'm listening to you. This isn't Harmony House. It's a private line. He goes, this is Harmony House is a drug and substance abuse counseling center.
Wow.
I was like, what? And every time I answered that phone, it was someone just like that, men and women, adults, looking for substance abuse counseling. How's that for crazy?
That is amazing.
Isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Isn't that nuts? Right?
But I'll tell you what, John. Talk about an honorable thing to do to help people that need, knowing people that have fought addictions. I mean,
Right.
they need somebody to talk to, and sometimes all they need is somebody to talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I won't say circle back because that expression makes me nauseous.
Yeah.
Okay. That's been destroyed.
Yeah.
Destroyed. Just like the word deplorable's been destroyed in my mind.
Disgraceful.
You had made reference to not functioning at a certain level. Well, I wasn't at that level or this or that. I just want to say something to the viewers. Okay?
Okay.
If you're here in service to others, then God bless you. Okay? Try to take stock of yourself and find out whether everything you do is geared toward, peel your own onion. And if everything that you find in the inner layers, all the way down to the core of the onion, shows you that you're here in service to yourself, why do you want to do all this bullshit all over again? You have a right to live your life. And if it's in service of yourself, fine. It's okay. But take stock of yourself. And if you want to be here and not have to pass this way again, you will be in service to others. And it doesn't matter at what level of service you do. Is a pediatric general and thoracic surgeon at a higher level than a blessed school teacher who has a positive effect over their lifespan on thousands of people? I don't think so. I don't think so. Is an Uber driver with a kind heart and a listening ear, is that person any less than the blessed school teacher or the videographer that makes wonderful uplifting videos for people to be educated and elevated by. No, I think we're all progenitors of the light. And it doesn't matter. I think levels don't mean anything. It's just be a progenitor and a purveyor of the light, and don't be an energy vampire where you're sucking life out of the system. Those are the people who are here in service to themselves, i.e., your elected officials or your unelected officials that are posing as elected officials, or global corporate leaders, or people who make up institutions that don't exist, like Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, who's going to try to tell us all how to take a shit. Really? They're all in service to themselves. Don't be that person.
John, that was almost like an alchemization.
It was. All right.
Would you like to alchemize a little bit further? I mean, for this episode, I really enjoyed this episode.
I think.
I enjoy them all.
Looking back at the whole episode, from ties that bind, even if you can't see them, right? That we're all connected. So if you see, what happens is this: there's one central God source of energy in the universe, and it's everywhere, and it's magnanimous, and it's creative, and it's expansive, and it's loving, and it's healing. It is the light of the Creator. And for some reason beyond my mortal mind, that Creator decides that it's going to fractalize, kind of like if you threw a glass bottle against a brick wall. Except each one of those little fractals of glass, or spicules of glass, is not really a fractal, because a fractal is just a tiny, complete whole piece of the greater, larger entity that divided itself. So we have God within us. We have the universe within us, and we are also in the universe. And so what does all this mean? It means that if you trace our fractalization all the way back up the arborization, all the way to the trunk of the tree, we're all from the same energetic, loving God source. Except for certain people who maybe, I still wrestle with that. Certain people maybe are not from the same God source. I don't know the answer to that. You know, there's a notion that we're all from the same God source because there's only one creative force, and some choose to take this path and others take that path, and they have their own reality, which is why right now in the world, and specifically in the United States, the left fights the right and the right fights the left, and the politicians use this on purpose to keep us all divided. So the end notion here, to leave us with a positive, loving thought about our oneness and about the ties that bind, is that we are all from the same living God source. Recognize that in each other. And that old saying, namaste, means the higher self in me acknowledges and honors the higher self in you. And maybe our next episode will do the higher self. So I would say, recognize, people, that the differences that this world creates in the third dimension stays in the third dimension. And yes, there are many dimensions, and when you move beyond that, you get closer and closer and closer to the oneness of the Creator. Amen.
Wow,
brother.
that was awesome. Thank you, John. Thank you for this episode.
Yeah, it was fun.
People, if you like what we're doing, press follow, like,
Subscribe.
share.
You got to help us fight the platform.
Oh,
Because the
yeah.
platform is killing us. You know that? We were in 5 international countries with our viewership skyrocketing, and then one day it just went, and now it's been almost 4 weeks, and we don't have a single added international view. How's that possible? The answer is it's not. The platform is screwing us because they don't like what we have to say. We're here to spread God's love and light. Even if we get testy, even if a couple of F-bombs slip out of Gallucci's mouth, that's why we're here. We're not here to screw you or to manipulate you or to ask you for money. But guess what? The platform isn't making any money off of us. And they don't like our message because we are not monetized. That means they have no use for us. We ain't going away.
Jersey Alchemist. Till next time. See you, people.
God bless.
Tony Ann, we're watching you.
God bless. The platform hates that. God bless.